Hello, this is Sam Simon, also known as Dementia Man, for our blog for this coming week. And I have a really special, all my guests are special, but I'm delighted to have George Worthington, who is the staff director in Virginia for the Commonwealth, not the state, the Commonwealth of Virginia, for an array of it's called Dementia Capable, our Alzheimer's Commission, and in the Department of, and you're going to help me, George?
Department for Aging Relative Services.
Yes, there we go. Well, welcome. You haven't yet seen the full Dementia Man in person. That's part of my goal. But we're here to talk about, hopefully, not just about Virginia, because what I think people will hear and see what we're doing, which I'm so pleased with, will be an idea for wherever you live. Go look at your state agency, see if they have something like this. And there are services here that we're going to talk about for both those who are giving care or caregivers and people with the disease. So, George, you're in Richmond, Virginia. I am going to be in McLean, Virginia. But tell me a little bit about sort of like your exact position. Maybe you can even say a little bit how long you've been doing it, and an overview of what Dementia Capable Virginia offers. How's that?
Sounds great, Sam. Thanks. I'm the Dementia Services Director with DARS, the Department for Aging and Rehab Services. And I've been in the role now since the end of 2018, so about 6.5 years. It's flown by, I have to say. And in that role, as you mentioned, I do a number of different things. One of them is supporting the Alzheimer's Disease and Related Disorders Commission, which is our advisory body to the Governor and General Assembly on all things dementia. And that commission and my department have created this initiative, Dementia Capable Virginia, which is really about raising the awareness about what resources and services are available in Virginia, and really trying to develop a website and a messaging hub, I guess, that will be a place for people looking, starting in their journey, wondering what to do, wondering who they should be talking to, wondering what services are available out there, and just trying to learn a little bit more about Alzheimer's disease and the other dementias. So,
Yeah, I was going to say what's great. And just to relate my own experience, and interestingly, 2018, when you started, was when I was first diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. I was actually very happy about that because I had been I was experiencing things that I didn't understand. And most of what I got was, oh, and even from my internist, oh, you're just an overeducated man overreacting to normal aging. And hearing that there was something different about me, that I wasn't just getting old, because I knew that, but I couldn't, how do you communicate that to others? And so there was something positive about getting that diagnosis. And then in 2022, we learned that the cause of that was early stage Alzheimer's. So I just, having, and I want to start with this and maybe even end with this, reliable, vetted information, readily available as well, by the way. So I love that it's a web, it's a newer website, right, that you're putting up in a program to further outreach that's available, because there's so much other stuff. I would use a different word occasionally that's not entirely reliable, that is associated with interested people there, and the risk of fraud or just misinformation or There are books out there called The End of Alzheimer's, The Cure for Alzheimer's. When I first was diagnosed, of course, you go Google, and there was some woman with her soup that made her husband cured from his Alzheimer's, right? And it was just available for 1995. Anyway, so I'm really delighted, and I want to hear about what it takes to get it done, and if there were like any impediments. The other half part of that is just confirming the huge new demand. I say new, huge demand as the baby boomers um, are going more like entering the time in which dementia is more prevalent. And I was just seeing you might have better information how many, estimates of how many just new Alzheimer's folks, much less other dementias in the next few years. But then their families, the generation below them that are the care partner, caregiver universe. So what's going on in Virginia, and how are you going to be the model for the rest of the country?
Oh, well, there's a lot going on in Virginia, but as you mentioned, the problem is or the issue is increasing. So there are about 300,000 Virginians over 45 who are experiencing some changes to their memory and thinking skills that are getting worse over time. That's a lot of people. And not all of those people have dementia, diagnosable dementia. Some of them might have mild cognitive impairment. Some people might just be experiencing normal changes, but they feel like their changes are pretty severe enough to report. And we want to give them as you said, there is a lot of information. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And we want to make sure that we have good evidence-based resources for folks. So on our website, which is Dementia Capable Virginia, if people search for that, they'll find it.
Is that
We
.gov?
It's not .gov. It's part of the DARS website. So it is .gov. But, yeah, but if you the actual web address is a little difficult to
I'll
say.
put it
So
up. I'll put it up, but I'm I know how to get to it. I'll make sure it's with this when we put it out. Um,
great.
just as you're talking, and it's a brief side thing in light of what's going on the national level, with because I'm a big advocate of Alzheimer's.gov. I loved it. I didn't know it existed. And I was out there looking because the Alzheimer's Association is out there. They're a good resource, and to say they want money too, and they tend to be focused on that. Though you dig hard enough, there's some really great actual resources there for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And whenever I talk to families, there are usually two resources that I recommend. Well, three, I guess. One would be Dementia Capable Virginia, and then I always let people know about the association's website and their helpline because that's super helpful for so many people. And to connect to support groups and other kinds of peer connections is really important, and the association can help with that. And of course, they have local chapters around the country. And then the third place that I usually refer to people to is their local area agency on aging.
Yes.
So there's an area agency on aging that serves every part of America. And here in Virginia, we've got a network of 25 of them.
Well,
And
the
the,
Loudon Area Agency on Aging Agency has produced a performance of Dementia Man. So
yay.
I love the folks there, and I'm sure Fairfax will get to me. Although the libraries, I've been asked this like an aside, but I'm gonna perform for the staff of Fairfax County Library, which is the 10th largest in the country, by the way. I didn't know that, and but their movement I mean, it's part of a movement to train library staffs, not just here. There are dementia-friendly libraries a movement on top of other kinds of things. I just want to, where I've been going, I got distracted, which happens, um, is I'm worried that the resources behind the Alzheimer's.gov and other federal funded agencies may not be as robust during these whatever transitions going on the federal level. So I think your work and the work of states is going to be increasingly looked to, and it's good to know that in addition to Alzheimer's.gov, hopefully it'll be there, and there are associated website or agencies that have information too that I get from it from. But having this resource at your state and then maybe also local levels um, is really, really critical. Big responsibility, George. So tell us more about it.
So yeah, Sam, it is really important that the states have good information for their residents. And most states now have a dementia state plan, and they'll have somebody like me in a role that's, really aimed at supporting folks living with dementia in their state and providing good resources and helping support services. Some states are much further ahead with this. I'll call out Wisconsin as a wonderful example of really what can happen when a state prioritizes services and supports for folks living with Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. And we're trying, we're catching up. But one of the great things is that we all share from each other and learn from each other. So some of the resources that are on our dementia capable Virginia site, we've adapted from wonderful resources that other states created. So, for example, our Virginia Dementia Roadmap, which goes stage by stage through the disease process, we borrowed from Washington State, and several other states have now adapted that as well. It's just a wonderful, wonderful resource. But we needed to make it state specific, so that's what we've done with ours. And yeah, it's just they talk about the states as being the laboratories of innovation, and they really are. And without my counterparts and learning from them and encouraging each other to do better, we probably wouldn't. So it's really important that we have those connections.
The other thing that I see happening, and I think is, local levels, and it's a complicated challenge. I'll start at the top. It is increasingly important today for early identification. So I love the balloon and the lively thing of the logo there, dementia capable. People, I hate the word dementia, by the way. I hope we're looking for a better word, by the way. So maybe we'll have a contest. I don't know. There is a movement, by the way, if you do, I think but there's a movement to get Congress to pass a law like they did on retarded so that the federal government won't use the word dementia. Cognitive, as you know, the DSM, the medical world uses neurocognitive
Order.
disorder, neurocognitive disorder, major or minor. That's a big word.
Yeah.
Doesn't fit nicely. But I think that word it comes to mind because there's this great reluctance that I've discovered and seen among other people in the world who have the disease or think they have it, of concern or fear of finding out and not quite knowing where to go. And there are increasing medicines, certainly around Alzheimer's. And it's important to know what is it you've got if you have something. Maybe it's just normal aging.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some other disease or condition. Who knows? And then if it is, the array, I don't know, the mal frontal lobal and something. Sometimes if you've been were a football player or fell and got hit in the head, it's associated with that. If it is a disease or injury related decline in your cognitive health, there are still things can be done. The earlier you find out, the more you can do, I believe, and I hopefully you can confirm that. So I think being out there and reaching out at the local and county and state level so that people can gain confidence. I hope that's part of your message.
Yeah, and that's so important, and I really appreciate you raising that, Sam, because early detection and diagnosis is vital, and especially as these new treatments come out, that's going to be your access is going to depend on those early diagnoses. So one of the things that we're trying to do at the state level and the local level is really to normalize cognitive screening or memory screening. Maryland recently launched an online tool that you can, so the state government launched an online tool where you can assess your memory, get a get a get a report that you can then take to your doctor for further assessment. And we're working on replicating that in Virginia. So using a really simple tool, it's got 8 questions. You can answer it yourself. You can have your family member answer it, or somebody else that you're working with can answer on your behalf. And we're also trying to institute that in the network of area agencies on aging so that those folks will be able to do that initial memory screening, give you some information that you can then take to your doctor to follow up with. And even if you're just having normal changes or you're not having really any changes, it gives you a baseline, and that's really important as well. So if you have that baseline, then you can see what's happening down the road. If changes are accelerating or they're really not concerning. So what I guess the message we're trying to get across is that checking your memory is like checking your blood pressure, right? Every time you go to the doctor, you get your blood pressure checked. Why not get your memory checked as well? It doesn't take very long. It takes about as long as getting a blood pressure um, uh, evaluation. So it's something that we're trying to normalize and just make part of your regular life. Getting those memory checks.
Yeah, no, yes, it is so important. So unfortunately, George has not yet seen Dementia Man, but he's going to. But one of we're getting some publicity and visibility, and certainly most immediately in our immediate family. I mean, I've traveled all over the country. I was able to be the keynote speaker last year at the National Association of Adult Daycare Providers. And I'm going to get to go to Sacramento and do it for the California State Conference of Adult Daycare Providers.
Fantastic.
It's part of, but I find it's surprising for people that somebody with a disease like this can go on stage. Luckily, I'm able to do it. And friends, it's dumb. It's just plain luck. I don't know, but it's also a note, maybe. I hadn't intended on going there, but a note that diagnosed early, you can do more with it and you can be conscious with it. If I've waited, but it leads back to what I was going to say. One of the things I get a lot, George, and it just happened. This was a friend, somebody you happen to know, after a recent blog, sent an email and said, I want to talk to you guys. I'm forgetting so much right now, and I'm worried about myself. We'll talk to them, but go to your doctor.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's right.
and there is, and I think the word unfortunately contributes to this fear. It is the word being dementia. Um, Now, Virginia is a pretty decent sized state. It's geographically diverse, but we have a huge military community down along near in the Atlantic side on the water because of the Navy. And there'll be probably a lot of people there who've been in combat, and there's part of that world. And it is such an interesting thing. If you most diseases, I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm making this up, but I'm finding there's this a narrative or fear around dementia and memory and cognitive issues that is clearly part of what what's coming up. But so what we have looked, I don't want to take too much time because people don't listen too long. So you're the staff person. Virginia is a county, well, city and county. You're launching from your area, from the center, from the DARS, the state office, a new website with resources, and then you'll link to some of the local resources as well.
Yeah, so the idea is that, this is a starting point, dementia capable Virginia. So people can get some primary information. We've got caregiver tip sheets for specific issues that might arise. We've got some home safety information for folks living with dementia. We've got that roadmap. We have some information for providers as well. But then, to access those local resources and supports, we direct them to their local area agency on aging or other agencies that can help with that. But I just want to touch on something you mentioned, Sam, about your purpose and starting the play and doing this after your diagnosis, and how what a wonderful role model you are with that. Because one of the messages that not only Dementia Capable Virginia, but the broader dementia friendly initiatives across the country really want to get across is that you can have a good quality of life even with dementia. And so, having that purpose that you've got, or having meaningful things that you're doing, you don't have to go and put on a play, but it's great if you do. But if you just have things that are meaningful to you and give your life that sense of purpose and meaning that's so important for everybody, but particularly important for folks living with dementia. And then having that message that life continues. And the more you know about what's coming up, the better you can prepare for it. So, uh,
I'm just, so this is into my third year, and I'm learning that language that you just used, by the way, just now. It's being translated to me because I'm doing pretty well with the diagnosis. People might hear me right now and say, "Oh, no, you don't." Well, I'm what they call amyloid positive, and I've got three confirming opinions. I didn't, that's me, and been in a drug trial already. So I have the Alzheimer's disease. I am early stage. And my doctor, to your point though, my doctor, when we were diagnosed, said, we don't know it. It could be 5, 10 years before you get a lot worse. It, there's this phrase which I'm sure you hold have heard, or if you know one person with dementia, you know one person. It's such a diverse. It's not a standardized. Oh, everybody goes exactly this way. It's very very different. But to your earlier point, because I'm doing well, I've heard it from various folks, including my doctor, that having a purpose and having meaning in our life, and it could be as simple, and I love art, using art and theater and music is one sort of thing you can do, but you can be the artist. You can working on clay, or I was just at something that people got Legos and be a Lego builder and build a set. And it isn't just the building of it. It's like, I want to get really good at this and I want to display it, or I want it so that you have something that adds purpose and I want to be around and get it done. It helps. I don't have the medical jargon behind that, but you're right. And that can be as important a message. I've heard so many people say, because I've been doing this, I started this summer 2023, so this summer will be 24, 2 years. Yeah. um, that so many people to know, don't know what to do with it. And one that can start early, you have a lot to contribute. And by the way, get in drug trials if you can, or um, go to programs. I hope Dementia Capable thinks about coming up, helping support, create some support groups. Or there are, um, I was mentioned, George, before we started, Susan and I are in a support group and it's housed in Las Vegas, Nevada. Because in part, 3 years ago, as we were looking around, there are a lot of support groups, and I'm going to say this out loud, George, that are associated with senior living folks, communities, that are as much marketing as they are support. And I get that in part. Having something that is just support group, well supported by some both technically capable for the platform and some people who have some experience. I don't know that I'm asking, I'd say that the DARS should provide the moderators. The one we go to have somebody who has an early stage as one of the leaders and somebody who has a caregiver background, but they've been trained within um, the Cleveland Clinic Center up there. And so getting trainer and a place to go if you need help or figure things out or refer people or get referred to. So anyway, thank you for your work and being here. This isn't always easy work. Um, I was on years ago. I was oddly, coming around. There was an advisory board. It was the one's on rehabilitation board, I think, for people trying to getting work. What was it called? I forget what it's called. It's still around.
Maybe the State Independent Living
Yeah,
Council, something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. We're trying to find people with cognitive disabilities to get it back into the workforce and
Mhm.
um, working in that area. We can, I'm going to be 80 this year, and there are a lot of us at this age. But I'm finished and retired, and so this is my work. I mean, as much work as I've ever done on anything, actually. But there are people in their 50s, 60s, even earlier than that. But and and decline comes from lots of sources. I've been doing this recently for some reason, but my favorite person young person, her name was Lynn. I call her she was my girlfriend. I was on the board of, I don't know if you know that, I was on the board of directors of the World Institute on Disability, or WID, out in San Francisco for 15 years. Even served as its vice chair, but at the time we didn't think I had a disability, so I couldn't be chairman. But Lynn I came on the board at 40 with Parkinson's
Mm,
uh, and mentioned Parkinson's dementia. So it
mm.
comes from a lot of different. But Lynn taught me something. That she said, "I'm not poor Lynn with Parkinson's. And I'm Lynn with Parkinson's. It's part of who I am, and I'll be the best of that the
Yeah,
world has ever seen. So I can be, thank you, Lynn Fielder. I'm Sam Simon with Alzheimer's, and I'll be the best of that. I think that's what the purpose of all of this is, that
yeah,
you can live a meaningful life with these diseases and add to that the support for the care partner, caregiver. I call them cognitive navigators, by the way.
I love that term.
My wife is my cognitive navigator. I do want to say too that, and talking too much, but the I was a caregiver to my wife Susan for many years. When she's fine, but she went through advanced breast cancer, and there was a moment in her treatment where they found a post double mastectomy lump, and everybody went dark, and they pulled me over and to get ready, and uh, that was difficult. And she turned out okay. But I see the role of care partner in this disease so much more challenging,
Mhm.
and particularly as a person changes. One day this Sam will go away and a new Sam might well appear. And
Yeah,
that's harder. So the support for the caregiver is so important too.
absolutely. And that's something that we absolutely stress, and not only support for the caregiver, but in supporting their person, but support for the caregiver in looking after themselves, right? Because
Right.
we know how important that is. If you're not looking after yourself, you can't really necessarily provide the best care for the person you're looking after.
And something too, that if your person you're providing care for is a spouse, a child, a parent, because there's another narrative in the world that life with the disease isn't worth living. And there is an issue about the financial impact on homes, which we can't get into all of it.
Yeah.
But I've come up to conclude we're lucky. Susan's here. I've been her, she had a prospective negative outcome in her disease, they thought. But to be able to be with someone you love and hold them however it turns out is a gift.
Yeah,
And I don't know that it can be hard. You can always go to why me, but why not me? And in fact, what a gift that I could be there if it came to that. This is where I ended up. If I could hold Susan in the last moment so she knew she was loved in that moment, isn't that something? Wouldn't you want someone? So anyway, so thank you,
absolutely.
George.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks, Sam.
and let's leave. So I'll put up the website.
Thank you.
Is there? There may not yet be a number to call, but
Yeah, yes, I'll give you the number as well.
okay, you want to mention it right now too?
Sure. 804 662 9154. So that's actually my number. If you get the message, just leave a message and I will be sure to call you back.
Well, that's great. Thank you for all you do. I hope that you and I will be working together. I'm trying to find a way to get into perform in Richmond soon.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and to support this cause, maybe we find a way around Alzheimer's awareness, or maybe one day there'll be a dementia awareness month or a dementia friendly month.
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
And so, particularly those in public service and whether local or state or federal need to know how important it is to provide the resources and support and capability in our community. So thank you for what you do, George. And hopefully people will see this. Don't overwhelm Virginia. Go to your own state resources as well. So thank you, George.
Thank you, Sam.